I do have a couple of, well, actually a few Sig 365s. Take the XL out of the picture, and I still have two that at first glance look identical, except they're not. Well, obviously they're not, because one is optics ready, the other is not. My original 365, which is 9mm, joined more recently by the 380. So I want to make sure that I can tell them apart when I just pick it up. Obviously I can tell by the optics plate, but if somebody else, my wife in particular, grabs the 380, which she is more inclined to do, how do you tell that apart from the 9mm? We're going to make a couple of changes, and it's not going to enhance the trigger necessarily, but I am going to change the slide stop lever and the trigger on the 380 to make it just a little bit more noticeable than the 9mm. All right, let's get the 9mm out of the way and go to the 380. Magazine's empty. We're not going to need that right now anyway. And the gun is empty. In fact, we're going to disassemble this by the way, this is for the YouTube manual reviewers. This is in the owner's manual as to how to take the slide off for cleaning. We're going to set that aside right now, and we're going to end up with just the frame. There are other videos out there on how to take this apart, so there shouldn't be any real surprise, and we'll speed up some of the footage as we go along. But pop the rear pin out, and then we get to lift the fire control unit out, and that's what we're going to work with. So I'm going to be adding the Armory Craft extended slide stop lever, and also the Armory Craft slightly curved trigger. And I do happen to like the slightly curved trigger. Yeah, we're doing it in gold again, that way my wife can easily tell which gun is her 380 and which one's not. I do want to mention that Armory Craft did not send these to me. They did send me a trigger return spring, which I will probably be installing in this also, but the trigger and the slide stop lever, I did purchase them with my own money. I'm only mentioning Armory Craft because I do really like their products. And by the way, there is a discount code. You can help the channel out, help yourself, save a little bit of money by using the discount code that is linked in the mentioned in the description down below. You can get the discount code to help my channel and help you save a little bit of money. All right, we're going to take this apart, which is not always the easiest thing to do on the fire control unit for the 365. All right, because this fire control unit has a manual safety on it, I got to take the manual safety out. And the reason I got the plastic bag out here, I'll get that really for a second, is to catch that little spring. Right there is the plunger on the edge of the safety, and you can see as the safety goes into the safe or the fire position, that little plunger moves into the notch. That's spring loaded. You got to be really careful on how you take that out of there. So I'm going to do that in a plastic bag just in case it happens to go shooting out. I don't want to have to chase all over the shop for it. All right, the safety plunger is out. Get rid of the bag. All right, so in order to remove the safety, we need to actually pull the trigger, and then we can work the safety out of there. There's my spring. I want to set these aside and make sure I do not lose these, because that is going to be difficult to replace. All right, those are set aside. Manual safety is out of there, and now we go on to the next step to take the trigger out of the fire control unit. All right, safety is out. Next thing we got to do is remove the takedown lever. We also got to pull this little pin out of the back, but got to be careful not to go too far with it. Go too far, it'll lose a piece on the other end. Again, I'm just going to speed this up. Really should try to pull the slide stop lever out of here. There's a spring that holds it. And make sure I get that spring in the right place. Pin out. You can see the spring has to, if you see that spring right there, has to go under that notch. So let's put this back in while I'm here. Get that spring under that notch. Remember, that spring is supposed to hold the slide stop lever in the down position until an empty magazine follower pushes it up. All right, so that's back. The slide stop lever is back in. All right, next thing we have to do is get the trigger bar out, and I should be able to work. Oh, I'm going to take the spring off the back. Forgot about that. Now we get to pull the trigger bar out of here, move the trigger around a little bit, and there we go. So there's the trigger. That hole catches on the inside of the trigger. Now we can pull the trigger out, and there's where that trigger bar catches, like that. So we can put the trigger bar back on it. Let's line that up here. Trigger pin goes in there. Alright, I got a phone call, and forgot to turn the camera back on at the end of the phone call. So I got the trigger bar back in there. The trigger pin is in, so the trigger is pivoting nicely. I did put some grease in there, and now we got to get it all back together. So it looks like the first thing up is going to be putting the trigger spring in. Actually, this is supposedly an Armory Craft reduced power trigger spring. Let's see if that'll work. Alright, I got frustrated and ended up shutting the camera off, but then I realized it's a whole lot easier to push this from the back than it is to try to pull it from the top. So once I got that in there, the trigger is now working fine. Now it's a matter of getting the rest of this put back together. Alright, I had to stop the camera a little bit. Got frustrated with trying to get the takedown safety back in, and I just had to struggle with it. Sometimes that is a challenging part to this. Alright, so got all that back in there. Let's see if we can get the safety lever back in. Again, if you don't have a manual safety, you can obviously skip this step. Alright, so that's back in. Now, go back to the bag because I don't want to lose that safety plunger. And push that forward. Okay, that's in the notch. There's fire. There's safe. Alright, looks like everything is pretty much back where it belongs. The question now is, of course, getting the fire control unit back into the gun. That snaps into place. Pin goes back in. And safety up. Takedown lever down. Push down on that little guy back there. Easy to work safety or slide release or slide stop lever, whichever you prefer. And you can definitely now tell the difference between my 380 and my 9mm. So again, just a little bit of color enhancement and back in business. Sometimes getting the parts back into that fire control unit, particularly the takedown safety, is a little bit on the tricky side. So again, the feel of that slightly curved flat trigger doesn't reduce the weight of the trigger pull at all. Alright, so there it is, Armory Craft, slightly curved trigger and extended takedown lever for the Sig 365, and again, same thing, 380 or 9mm, it's going to work the same. But if you have any trouble at all working the slide stop lever, then it does give you a little bit more to get your thumb under to put it, to lock it open, and a little more real estate to pull it down. Again, one more time, I have a discount code for Armory Craft, save you a little bit of money, help the channel out, and that discount code is in the description down below. Took a while. Sorry about that, but it is there. It is functioning, and we're good. Thanks for stopping in.